Well, first off, I want to apologize for my accent. I am from Mississippi, so if you can't understand half the words, perhaps we need an interpreter. Is there anybody that can interpret Southern? Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm honored to be invited here to take part in this, the Perspectives in Military History series. Specifically, I'd like to thank Michael Lynch and Tommy Sherd for making all this happen. It was somewhat of an ordeal getting here, but they got me here. And now my buddy Michael Deutsch is busy showing me around as well. So it's been a good experience all the way around. And also, I understand you guys had not you guys, that didn't come out right at all. Y'all had Susanna Earle come up a month ago. I gave her explicit instructions, being I'm one grade ahead of her in the professoriate, explicit instructions to drop an egg, to do very badly. So I would, I'd look better in comparison. I hope she did poorly. I hope she put you all to sleep and then she okay. Oh well, I've got to live on my own laurels then instead of trying to compare myself to her. What I want to do tonight is talk about the book I published a couple years ago, Vietnam's Forgotten Army, and kind of what it says about the Vietnam War. And I bet you there's one or two Vietnam War veterans in here who's going to tell me how wrong I am, and I'm not used to. I'm very used to that, so that's certainly okay. I was born in 1960, the very end of the baby boom. My father was a Korean War veteran, and while I didn't experience Vietnam firsthand, because I was too young when Saigon fell in '75, I was 14. Well, I was too young to experience that war. I was certainly old enough to watch it and see it reported on television every night, as an engaged kid who, even at that time, kind of liked military history. It was something I wanted to hear about. It was tearing families apart. It was tearing the nation apart. I wanted to learn more about this big mystery, but nobody could explain it. Not even my great-grandfather, who was perhaps the smartest man I ever knew. When I asked him about Vietnam, he really didn't have much of an answer for it. So even though it wasn't my war, it was the war of the generation I was one of the very youngest members of, and it was a war that I needed to find out more about. When I went to college, I studied war, but at that time, every class ended at World War II. No classes went any further, and some classes still have that problem, but simply nobody taught about Vietnam in the 80s when I first went to college. So it remained a mystery. It seemed like America was doing its very best to forget this mystery, the mystery that I wanted to solve, doing its very best to sweep Vietnam up under the carpet, which is just like when my mama used to tell me, you can't go play in that creek. I had to go play in that creek. It was like history telling me you can't study this, which means I had to go study that. So even though I couldn't learn about that in college, I tried all the reading I could to understand my generation's war. And I tell you what, if you ever have a chance to teach, the very best way to understand something is to volunteer to teach it, because then you better be ready to at least know the facts and details of something. So I offered to teach the first class at my university on Vietnam in 1997. And I discovered one thing. As a World War I historian, I was lucky and unlucky enough to deal with a war in which most veterans have passed away. But when I began teaching Vietnam, there was a wonderful resource I had close to hand, the veteran community. And I always think it is so great when you teach a class about a war to invite the people in who fought it. I just read about it.